I got to tell you guys, it's been a wild ride. It certainly has been. But we are back here today for a monster slate. And I loaded 46 games in here that we are going to speed around and give our thoughts on. We've had a great start. We were 21-3. Then we lost 8 units. Then we won 10 units last night. It's been up and down, but we are not going to stop. We're going to continue here all the way through on our mission for 100 units. There's still 108 days left. There's plenty of time. We're going to go one by one in the games. That's the key. Last night we got hot. We were missing our one picks that we're putting in the action app, but we're doing well across the board here, and we have some momentum. It's a wild ride. And what we've noticed here is that when you have conference games with teams on the road, they are struggling to cover those numbers. I put it in our Discord. I put it here out at FTN. 62, 63%, those conference games. Things are very, very close. Let's get to it. You want the games. Let's go right around. Here we go. Virginia minus 11 versus Syracuse. Confidence level. I'm going to put confidence levels in for each one of these. I'm going to start here with Virginia minus 11. I am not a Virginia fan. I think they stare and watch. They've burned me recently with some games where they were not able to cover. But the problem is the way that you cover against Virginia is you slow them down and you keep games at a reasonable level that you can hit some shots and use shot variance. That is not what Syracuse is going to do. They're going to run up and down the floor. JJ Starling can't make a shot to save his life right now, and Judah Mintz is on fire and attacks the basket. When you do that against Virginia, you give them opportunities. I think Virginia covers here. It's 11. It's too many points. I get it, but I do think they get the cover against the Syracuse team that plays a style under Adrian Autry, doesn't play much defense. You saw them against Colgate. And now they're going on the road here against Virginia, and they're going to be helter-skelter up and down the court. That is not the way you beat Virginia. You have to slow them down. Syracuse will not. Next game, Northern Kentucky minus 9.5 versus IUPUI. Uwe Pui last year was fantastic for us. They were one of the best cover teams in all of college basketball, even though their record was terrible. It was amazing. Last year, Uwe Pui was 5-27, but they were great against the spread. This year has been the total opposite. They have lost 5 Division I games in a row, and they're not particularly close. They're coming off a game on Wednesday against Wright State where they lost by 31 points. So here comes Northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky, this is a Horizon League game. Northern Kentucky beat Robert Morris. They got their first win. Now they're playing Uwe Pui. There is no game on the horizon that they're worried about here. They have Illinois State away. I get that, but that is not a conference game. This is not a sleepy spot. I like Northern Kentucky to get the cover here. It is a lot of points. I get it. It's a lot of points here in a Horizon League game and a battle between two teams that are in the Horizon League, but I like this spot here. I am going with them. I see the comments here. We're going to run. Yet we'll get back to those in a minute. Good seeing you, Trevor, as always. Miami minus 14 versus Notre Dame. Again, a lot of points here, laying in a game that is on it within the ACC. But my logic here is Miami's coming off a loss to Kentucky. That was a bad loss. They were rolling up into that point. Now they're playing Notre Dame. This is the opener in the ACC for both teams. Notre Dame still has that freshman backcourt here. Now they're going on the road. They're coming off a loss of 12 at South Carolina. So Notre Dame has had their struggles. Micah Shrewsbury will get this going at Notre Dame, but I don't like this spot here against Miami coming off a loss. Miami should be able to cover this. If they're going to lose by 12 at South Carolina, I have no reason to believe that a freshman backcourt is going to be able to beat an angry Miami team that really needs this game in their first game within the ACC as they're looking to go for a regular season title. Penn State minus 20.5 versus Bucknell. My rationale here is Penn State has been very good at home. I've been impressed. Now, remember, Penn State has Mike Roach, who came over from VCU. They have Ace Baldwin. They do have some injuries potentially in this matchup, but they're playing today against a Bucknell team that has just been atrocious. They forced turnovers, the pressure that should get to Bucknell. Bucknell lost by 6 at St. Bonaventure. They got blown out at Marist by 24 points, and then Princeton, they lost by 14. Penn State is going to force the turnovers, which Bucknell will gladly give them. It's first year under John Griffin, who I like as the assistant coach from St. Joe's for all those years, but I think the turnovers get to them. I think Penn State gets going. Penn State coming off of 3 straight losses in 3 tough games to Texas A&M, Butler, and VCU. They need this game. They are about to kick off their Big Ten conference against Maryland and Ohio State next week. They need a big performance today. I think they get it. Marquette minus 3.5 versus Wisconsin. Confidence level is 6. It may be a little higher, actually. Marquette is in a revenge spot here. The only concern I have with Marquette is they are hosting Texas coming up on Wednesday. You know, Shaka Smart's going to have them ready for that. But Wisconsin, Marquette has been great this year. Their only loss was to Purdue, and that was very, very close. And they have a win over Kansas. Wisconsin last year was able to get the win in overtime over Marquette. Marquette played well. Wisconsin got ahead. This game is technically at Fiserv Forum, which is the home court this time for Wisconsin. It is not a road game for Marquette. Those fans are going to pack that place. They have revenge on their mind from last year. They seem like the better team. They seem like a top 5 team in the country here and a legitimate Final Four candidate. I am taking Marquette and the low line. I think UMass is going to run South Florida. I get nervous with UMass when you lay large spreads, but UMass has been able to score this year. They're getting up and down the floor. They are not turning the ball over, which is a great sign of Frank Martin. They're number 3 in the country in offensive turnover percentage. They are not making free throws, UMass. They are shooting 58%. That is my concern. That is why this confidence level is at 8 and not higher. I think UMass is going to be able to run them. South Florida is now playing their second road game. They played at Hofstra. They lost by 19. They played at home to Maine and lost by 11. So Amir Abdul-Rahim, who came over from Kennesaw State and did a great job. This is an adjustment year for him at South Florida. He will get the South Florida team going. I just don't think he's going to get it going today. I'm going with UMass -6.5 at home. They've shown the ability to score. They've shown the ability to get to 80 to 90, and Matt Cross has been one of the most efficient players in college basketball. I like them here. Next up, Central Connecticut State University versus Holy Cross. We have Holy Cross, and I followed Holy Cross because I thought they were live, but they struggled against St. John's. They got destroyed. They struggled at home against Maine. And listen, I like Maine. Maine can be frisky. We know that. But losing by 15 at home against Maine is very questionable. Central Connecticut did a very nice job at Army. They got up early. They shot some threes, and they pulled away. Now, they're not great on defense here, but I think Central Connecticut State at home, the first home game they've had since Manhattan. They haven't been home since Sunday, November 19th. I think they get this here against Holy Cross. I don't see Holy Cross keeping this close. VMI versus Presbyterian. Remember, this is a Bayesian process. We have to continue to change as we get new information. I have liked Presbyterian under Quentin Farrell, but they have not played well this year. They have lost 2 straight games at home to Tennessee Tech, which should not have happened. And then they won on the road at Elon, and they lost that game, and they were down big. They also lost on a neutral to Maine. Now they are playing VMI away, VMI home. They lost to Navy. They lost to Air Force, but the Air Force game was very close. This VMI team is great at defending the 3. Presbyterian needs to hit threes. They are home, coming home. It's a large spread. I don't see Presbyterian cover it. I will take VMI +3. UMBC I've happened to see a couple times, not by choice, I can tell you that. But UMBC is a team that wants to create tempo and get up and down the floor. They played tough against Maryland early, and then they blew it. William and Mary, Hampton, they've been up and down, but they did beat Sacred Heart at home. I saw them in that Sacred Heart game, and if UMBC hits threes, they're going to put points on the board. They've scored 84, 85, 94 points at home. I do not think Lehi has the offense to keep up here. This is a low line, but I am trusting UMBC under Jim Ferry, helter-skelter, second fastest pace in the country. They shovel players in and out. I think UMBC is going to win this game because I don't think Lehi can keep up with it. One of the great games of the day, Bradley versus Indiana State. Bradley -2.5 versus Indiana State. I got to shout out my buddy Gus Kearns here from the Screen the Screener podcast. Follow him on Twitter at @CKearns12. Did a great job breaking this game down for me. Here is the deal. Bradley at home is fantastic, and this is one of the best teams that they are going to face in the Missouri Valley Conference. Bradley is coming off a tough loss away at Murray State where they were up early and then they gave it away late. I don't think Bradley starts 0-2 in the Missouri Valley. Even against Indiana State, who is one of the top teams, even against an Indiana State team that is really, really strong offensively. Indiana State is shooting 40% from three-point range, and they are number 1 in the country in effective field goal percentage per KenPom. However, this game is at Bradley. Bradley is not going to start 0-2. You saw Indiana State against Southern Illinois destroy them. I am backing Bradley's three-point defense, which is one of the best in the country, top 10, holding opponents to 25.3%. A great game, a great mid-major game. Bradley at home. Don't leave your wingman. Even though Indiana State is good, if this game was in Indiana State, I'd like the Sycamores. I'm going with Bradley here, -2.5. Next game, Evansville, +3.5 against Northern Iowa. I don't know why Northern Iowa is favored. Northern Iowa they're like a mini Virginia. They need to have the pace at their level, and they have struggled. South Florida away, lost by 9. North Carolina neutral got destroyed. Texas Tech, they kept it close. They were up big and they gagged it coming back. Stanford on a neutral, good win. Belmont, they lost by 20 at home. Now they're favored on the road against Evansville. Now, Northern Iowa is not going to want to start 0-2 in the Missouri Valley Conference, but Evansville entered the Missouri State game away, which is their first loss and their first game within the conference. They were actually 6-0. They are great at forcing turnovers, top 20 in the country. They are great at defensive rebounding. They can be effective from three. But since this game is home and it is a conference game and they're going to want to win and not start 0-2, we're going to stick with that 63% percentage. I am going with Evansville plus 3.5. Sacred Heart likes to get up and down the floor, and they're going to do it against Boston University. I'm a believer in this Sacred Heart team. Sacred Heart in the NEC, this is the best team that Anthony Latina has had since being at Sacred Heart in the Northeast Conference. They lost a tough game to St. Joe's. They lost at home to New Hampshire. That was a bad loss. This is a get-right game. They have pushed the pace. You have Nico Galette, who comes off the bench, who's one of the best players that they have on the team and one of the best players, probably the preseason player of the year in the NEC. I don't trust BU. They're shooting 41% from inside the arc. They're terrible at offensive turnovers, and they're struggling from three-point range as well, and they don't make free throws. So BU at Sacred Heart, who's lost 2 in a row, who needs the win, who pushes the pace, and BU can't make threes, can't make twos, and can't make free throws. I think Sacred Heart wins. That's why I have a confidence level of 9 on this pick. Old Dominion +2 against Northeastern. I was out with my buddies Chris Anthony and Paul at the Seton Hall game. Also, my buddy Rob Regassa was there. Well, we had a nice party in a box. I'm not a box guy, but I had one against Seton Hall and Northeastern. And I saw Northeastern. They are athletic, but they turn the ball over and they can get sloppy. Old Dominion is very disciplined. They usually get their style. They keep things close. Old Dominion under Jeff Jones just beat Radford at home. They beat Drexel at home. They played Arkansas tough away. That's not easy. They played Princeton at home. It was close, but they lost late. Northeastern here. I am trusting Jeff Jones getting points on the road to get his pace against a Northeastern team that doesn't force turnovers and gives the turnovers away. They're also shooting poorly from three-point range, and their defense has been terrible. I am not high on Seton Hall. I like Northeastern covering that game. I don't like them here. I will take the 2 points here, even though Northeastern at home with what I think is the better coach. Florida State at North Carolina. I am firmly ready to say that I may be wrong on North Carolina, basically because Harrison Ingram has been the difference. North Carolina beats Arkansas. They beat Tennessee. We did get a massive cash with them by losing against Villanova. However, Harrison Ingram has been the difference. Freshman Elliot Cadeau has been fantastic as well, but Florida State has length. Florida State is great at defending the three. They're holding opponents to 25.6%, and that's including the horrific loss to Florida away where they got destroyed, but that's a rivalry game. This is the first game in the ACC for both teams. I don't believe North Carolina is this elite team yet. I'm willing to entertain that I could be wrong, but I am taking Florida State's length. I am taking their ability to force turnovers, and I'm saying that North Carolina is not going to win a double-digit game here against Florida State at home when they have struggled defending a team like Florida State, who I think can get threes and get up and down the floor. Kansas State -17.5 versus North Alabama. I struggle with this one. I went back and forth. I believe Kansas State is going to get it here. Arthur Kaluma, who is critical to this team. Arthur Kaluma, who was fantastic in the Big East tournament 2 years ago and then actually disappointed last year, has been better. Against Oral Roberts, where that game went to overtime, Kaluma showed up. He had 20 points. He was 5 of 5 from the free throw line. He had 8 rebounds. He had 2 blocks. He really showed up. I think Kansas State gets this number against North Alabama. It is frisky. It is not easy because Kansas State is a little uncertain right now, but they're so good on the offensive boards with Jerome Tang, and Arthur Kaluma is hot. I'm going to lay the points. When is the last time that Dayton won a game by 20 points? I'd like to know that. When is the last time that Dayton won a non-conference game by 20 points? I am curious. This year, SIU Edwardsville, 16. This year, away at Northwestern, lost. LSU by 3. St. John's by 7. Houston lost by 14. Youngstown State at home won by 8. SMU won by 2. When have they covered a game by 20 points? You want to go back to last year where they had a great team? SMU home 12. Robert Morris 9. Western Michigan 20. So that still doesn't cover this number that they had last year with 20. I just think it's too many points. I don't trust them. It's a sleepy spot here for Dayton. Dayton is going to have UNLV, Troy at home, Cincinnati. They have big games coming up. They're coming off the big one over SMU. I think it is a sleepy spot for Dayton. Confidence level is only 5, but I'm taking the points. This game, Buffalo +10 versus St. Bonaventure. This is your classic matchup in the intrastate game. I am following the pattern here that has gone on where teams who are playing rivals in their state are keeping the game close. We have Buffalo, who is only 1-6, and they started terribly under George Halkovich. They lost to Fairleigh Dickinson. They lost to South Alabama. They were 1-6, but they played a close game against James Madison away, and that may have turned the corner. Now they're hosting St. Bonaventure, who is fine with Mark Schmidt, but on the road, winning by double digits is hard to do for anyone. You even saw Creighton, who got up massively against Oak State, and Oak State came all the way back. It is very difficult to cover double digits on the road. I am taking Buffalo here, getting the 10 points at home. Not impressed with Furman whatsoever. Princeton may allow them to shoot threes, and they're going to have a great shooting day. I'm going to put this one at a 7 because Princeton is 7-0 and undefeated, and they won away at Old Dominion by 20. That is not easy, like I said, with Jeff Jones. They won away at Monmouth by 25. They beat Rutgers on a neutral by 7. Princeton has looked very good, shooting 38% from three-point range, shooting great from the free throw line as always, and they've had some bad luck. Teams are shooting 81.6% from the free throw line against them. Here comes Furman, who doesn't shoot anywhere near that. Furman, who allows three-pointers at a disturbing rate. Furman, who is terrible in effective field goal percentage allowed. I am taking Princeton. The Ivy League is strong this year, folks. Get ready for it. Mississippi against Memphis, only a 6 on this one. I love what Chris Beard is doing there down in Mississippi. They looked fantastic in their matchup that they had earlier this year. Mississippi beat NC State by 20. They beat Temple. They are 6-0 and undefeated. They are great at interior defense, and they are great at not turning the ball over. If they don't turn the ball over against Memphis today, they're going to win this game. Memphis had the loss to Villanova, which was terrible. They have VCU coming up. They have Texas A&M coming up. They have not played at home since Friday, November 17th. This Memphis team is good, and I like them. I am backing Chris Beard. I am backing the defense. Hotty toddy for me as an underdog at home with Mississippi, but I really like Memphis, which is why I only put this at a 6. Cornell is good. Lafayette is not. This is a confidence level of 9. Cornell is fantastic. You know I backed them all year. The Ivy League is a problem this year, and these lines are going to be skewed because no one is going to be flocking to bet the Ivy League. They beat Monmouth by 4 at home. That was a close game, but they got over the hump. I think Cornell plays well here. I think they blow out Lafayette. They're great inside the arc with the movement and the cutting and the back doors. Yes, they can give up points here, but Lafayette is shooting 43% from inside the arc, 28% from three-point range, and not good from the free throw line. So if you're going to get me to worry about a team that's going to cover on the road, they can't be shooting 66% from the free throw line. They just can't. I think Cornell wins. I will take it. North Texas, I only put this one as a 6 because North Texas plays at such a methodical pace that this can open itself to a backdoor cover. But they are playing a Mississippi Valley State team that is god-awful. Mississippi Valley State, worst team in the country in effective in adjusted offensive efficiency. Worst in the country. This is per KenPom. Worst in the country at effective field goal percentage on offense. Second worst in the country at 2-point percentage scored inside the arc and shooting 61%. They are just catastrophically bad. I know North Texas plays at a slow pace, but Ross Hodge has done a great job in his first year with some big wins. They played tough against St. John's. They lost by 1. They played tough against LSU. They were up and then they lost that game. They beat Townsend at home, who is a much better team than Mississippi Valley State, a neutral rather. They beat them by 24 points. Mississippi Valley State may be the worst team in college basketball. So even though North Texas plays at the 4th slowest pace per KenPom, I am taking North Texas and laying these points. One of the toughest games of the day, Vermont -1.5 versus Yale. I believe in Vermont. The question is, what is the real team in Vermont? We love John Becker and we love what the Catamounts do, but this is a team that beat Merrimack, looked good, beat Charleston by 9 on a neutral, came back in that game, looked good, beat St. Louis by 10 on a neutral, comfortable win, lost to Liberty, bad loss. Bradley away, that's always a tough place to play. They only lost by 9, and then they had a sleepy spot against Dartmouth. I think they bounce back here. Yale is good. They are very good in discipline, and Vermont is not making free throws, but Vermont gives you one and done, so they're great on the defensive boards, and they don't turn it over. This is a tricky one because Yale is really good, but I am going to go with Vermont -1.5. I bumped it up from a confidence level 6 to 7 because I believe in John Becker. If they burn me here, then I'll have to adjust. But I think the only game that they've really disappointed me here is the Dartmouth game where they won by 11 but didn't cover the 13. I don't think they have 2 bad first halves in a row. Only confidence level 10 I have today. Only one. I have no idea why Loyola Chicago is favored by 6.5. I am waiting to hear that the entire Crimson team has COVID. Loyola Chicago has been terrible and is not impressed. They have won some games, but they've been extremely fortunate to do so. Loyola Chicago this year is shooting 35% from three-point range, but is giving up 37% from beyond the arc. They are catastrophic on the offensive boards. They were losing to Boston College by 8 with 2 minutes left, and they had a miracle comeback. They got destroyed by Creighton by 20. Illinois Chicago beat them. They almost lost to New Orleans at home, where we were going for a plus 1,800 money line play. This is not a good team. I'm not impressed with you, Valentine. They're living off reputation. I am taking Harvard here, not only plus 6.5 to win this game outright. Harvard played at Indiana. That was tough. Harvard did lose to Boston College, but they beat UMass in overtime away the night before, and then they lost to Boston College late and gave it back. They also beat Colgate away, which is not easy to do. Colgate is light years better than Loyola Chicago. I am taking Harvard plus 6.5, and I am taking Harvard on the money line. My only confidence level 10 play of the day. Stonehill plus 3.5 versus Binghamton. I don't trust Binghamton laying points here on the road. Stonehill in the NEC. This is not an NEC game, but they are home. They played UMass Lowell home, and they covered for us 2 nights ago. Great one there. That is a tough UMass Lowell team that plays defense, so it's possible that we are buying on the low here on Stonehill. I don't trust Binghamton to cover 3.5 points on the road. Not against a Stonehill team that just went up against a defense in UMass Lowell that's one of the best in the country, and they almost beat them, and they scored 80 on them. No way. I have no idea why Duke is favored by 12.5. What has Duke shown you this year to think they can win by 13 points in this game? I'm not saying Duke can't win. Of course they can win. They lost to Arkansas, who was shorthanded by 5. They are playing now. This is their first ACC game. They're going to be fired up. But Georgia Tech can score. Georgia Tech has players who could absolutely score. They beat Mississippi State at home by 8. In that game, Miles Kelly, who is really blossoming here into a first-team All-ACC player, 22 points, 4 of 9 from three-point range. Kawasi Reeves has been good coming over from Florida, and Damon Stoudemire has done a nice job. I'm not ready to lay 12.5 points in a conference game with almost anyone, even though it's Duke. I get it. It's Duke. It's the Blue Devils. I get all that. Can they win by 8 and we can get to the window? I will take Georgia Tech here plus 12.5. Colgate plus 21.5 versus Arizona. Look, Arizona is great, and they can run you off the floor. I get it. They beat Michigan State. They're 6-0. Their offense is clicking. They're top 20 in effective field goal percentage. They're shooting 39% from three-point range. I get it. But give me a bad Caleb Love game today. Give me a Colgate team that plays these big teams, no problem. They're not going to be intimidated under Matt Langle. Matt Langle has jacked up his non-conference schedule here. He's got Vermont. He has Illinois. He's playing Iona away. Of course, they're going to play Cornell. That's going to be a great game. They are for real, and they can shoot the 3, and they're disciplined, and they're great on the defensive boards. All we need here is for Arizona not to shoot the lights out and win this game by 12 or 13. I will take Colgate here plus 21.5. Classic in-state rivalry here with Nicholls State. Nicholls State getting all these points, 13.5 at Louisiana Tech. Not buying it. Nicholls State played Baylor, tough game. They played Mississippi State. They've played a tough schedule. And remember, the last time they played within the state, they played LSU, and they ended up upsetting the Tigers by 2. I just don't think Louisiana Tech can win by this much. They're only shooting 47% from inside the arc, so that's where we're going here. I like Purdue Fort Wayne. This line has dropped from 7.5 to 5.5. I believe in Greg Campion. I believe in Oakland. Oakland is coming off a huge win here at Xavier. They played fantastic in that matchup. Then they played Detroit Mercy, and they won by 15 away. I get that this is the second game for Oakland within the Horizon League. They beat Detroit Mercy. Now they're coming home. Purdue Fort Wayne under John Kaufman was great last year. They are solid. They are now going on the road. It just has dropped a little too much. I get it that people liked it at 7.5 at 8, but 5.5, I'm still taking Oakland here. I believe in them. San Jose State is a team that I have liked all year. I've been tracking them. They've done well for me, and they had some nice covers. Good job here by Tim Miles, who after he left Nebraska, and that was a rough situation, has gone to San Jose State and has done well. San Jose State lost to Cal Poly away. They were winning that game for most of the game, and then they lost. They played Texas Tech away and kept that game close. I think this is a bounce-back spot at Montana. 3.5. I think it's a coin flip. Montana has not been their normal solid self. They're not going to turn you over. We know that. They're shooting 24% from three-point range. Travis DeQuire does a nice job as Montana's head coach, but I like San Jose State here getting 3 in what I think is a coin flip game. Xavier Johnson is fantastic for Southern Illinois, and he can win this game all by himself. I am going with Southern Illinois -6.5 against St. Louis, basically because I don't think St. Louis is very good. So Xavier Johnson has really lit teams up, and I've happened to see him several times, which is just shocking that I've had the ability to see him. But he is one of the best scorers in the country if you have not seen him. Southern Illinois, they played Indiana State away. That is a rough spot. We know that. So coming off a 30-point loss in Indiana State, no one is going to think Southern Illinois can win by 6.5, but that is exactly when we take them. St. Louis, not impressive under Travis Ford. They've lost 3 of their last 4, and they beat Dartmouth by 1 at home. This is a Xavier Johnson 30-point game. This is a Southern Illinois win. I am going with Southern Illinois and the Salukis to take over to get a win that they really need and to beat St. Louis here. Remember, this is a Southern Illinois team that almost beat James Madison, came all the way back after being down by 20 points. One of the teams I've loved all year, if you follow me in the bet tracker, is Western Carolina. Their guard play, their 3-point shooting is exceptional. They are playing at Gardner-Webb here. They are 6-0 Western Carolina, and people probably think the Catamounts are going to regress. They are great on the defensive boards. They give you one and done. They are top 10 in the country in that. They are aggressive on defense. They don't turn the ball over because the guards are fantastic, and they shoot 37% from 3-point range. I think people are selling because I think there's going to be some regression with Western Carolina. I don't think that's happening at Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb can't score. Gardner-Webb can't shoot. Gardner-Webb can't make free throws. I think Western Carolina is a team that the books have not adjusted to. Confidence level is 8. I probably should have put it as 9, like Western Carolina here a lot. This is a strict rivalry play between Green Bay and Milwaukee. You know, Milwaukee has been disappointing. We waited for B.J. Freeman to come back, and B.J. Freeman did come back. But this team has lost to Stetson by 18 on a neutral. They lost to Southern Miss at home by 6. Now they're going away. This is the Horizon League opener for them. But this Milwaukee team is the worst team in the country at defensive rebounding. Terrible. And they are also the 3rd worst team in the country and allowing 3-pointers. B.J. Freeman has not given them the bump that we thought it was going to have. And now you have Green Bay, a Green Bay team that's going to slow it down, that's going to limit possessions. So you have a slow-paced team against a team that's a little helter-skelter, that hasn't found consistency yet. And you have a team here, that Green Bay, that's going to play a deliberate pace, and you're giving them points, and they're at home in the Horizon League opener. And it's a rivalry game. So add up and check all those boxes. We'll take Green Bay plus 2.5. I admit this is a continual pick, and some of you may not like it. I think Coastal Carolina is tough at home. This is a good Winthrop team. This is not one of my higher confidence plays, but I just always find taking Coastal Carolina with points at home is profitable for me. It's only a 5, but 4 points is a lot. If it was 1 or 2, I'd probably stay away, but 4, I'm going to bite here. Wouldn't mind a money line play either. The reason I'm going with Michigan, and everyone here is probably laughing, all of our subs here at FTN are probably laughing, is because everyone is out here for Oregon. There's issues with Oregon all over the place. I saw Rothstein put out today, and I'll read it to you right now. There are just a myriad of players that are out for Oregon, and that is why I'm taking Michigan. In fact, the props, Mike Kutry's killing here, props here at FTN, just came off the board for Oregon, so you may have tough finding those props. Oregon's Jesse Zazuela is out today for the game against Michigan. Keyshawn Barthelemy, who is a critical player for them, is questionable. Infali Dante, hamstring. Nate Biddle and Mookie Cook are out also for the Ducks. Now, Cook hasn't played. I get that. But that is a lot of players out for a Michigan team that still has Doug McDaniel, that still has a Kongwa who's been solid, and has Phil Martelli on the bench, who's a great coach. Yes, I'm not a fan of Michigan, but that's too many players out for Oregon. It's funny because we went down this road last time with Oregon versus Georgia to open the year, and Georgia burned us with Mike, and we took Georgia, and Oregon burned us. But this is too many players. I'm taking Michigan here as well. NJIT plus 1.5 versus FDU. I have seen FDU. I'm not impressed with them. This is a close New Jersey rivalry game, right? NJIT actually has a good backcourt. They can make some shots. They can get up and down the court a little bit and pressure you. They want to make a fast pace. And Fairleigh Dickinson is shooting 67% from the line, only 31% from 3-point range, and they play at a fast pace as well. And they don't force it to a lot of turnovers under Jack Castleberry. Fairleigh Dickinson on the road, New Jersey battle, interstate. NJIT can be tough at home. I will take them as well. I see the questions coming here. Let me get to some before I get back to the next one. I got the cover for IU who's unconscious. He was. And you know what's frustrating about that game, Trevor? is I don't like Maryland and I don't like Indiana, but I ended up taking Maryland. That's what I get for backing Kevin Willard. Thank you very much. Al in the house. That's fantastic. Yeah, Al, doing it today. We went to Saturday because the slate was better. We got some. Yeah, it should. Yeah, it must be free. I get it, Trevor. It's just too many players hurt. That's what makes a concern for me there. So that is where I am going today. Let's get back. We have more comments coming, guys, but I want to keep rolling, make sure to get to everything. This Drake team is not as good as it used to be. The Drake team that I love, that we used to have the picture with the whiskey and we had the hat when they covered 16 straight games like 3 years ago. This is not the same team. Do not be fooled by a 6-1 record. They beat Valpo, but they were in trouble against Texas Southern at home. Now this is the Missouri Valley opener. So it is the home opener for Drake and Missouri State. And this is a Drake team that is not playing well on defense. Missouri State is 6-1. The only game they lost was the first game away at West Virginia, which they should have won. And I believe they covered. I think they covered in that game with 6.5. Maybe it was 8.5. I thought they covered in that game, but they are rolling. They beat Evansville at home and they hung 90 points. They hung 92 points on South Carolina State. They beat Abilene Christian on a neutral and hung 87. This team can score. This team is shooting 39% from three-point range. They are playing well on defense. Hate this Drake team. This is a confidence level 8. It should be a confidence level 9. This is a line that's reflecting a Drake team from the last few years ago. Not buying it. Missouri State plus 7.5. You know I'm going here. I don't care. I still like UNC Wilmington. And I get it. It's Kentucky, who's been fantastic. And I think the markets have been underrating. But I like this UNC Wilmington team. It's 20, and they just beat Miami by 22. So you're saying, Mike, how is UNC Wilmington going to cover 19 if they just totally boat raced Miami by 22? Well, the answer is I believe in Takeo Sadell. The answer is I like this team. They don't turn the ball over. They are great at protecting the basket, and they just have to be able to make some shots. They shoot free throws well. This is a tough spot. I believe in UNC Wilmington. I give him credit for listing this game, and I like this team a lot. Their guards are aggressive. Sleepy spot for Kentucky here, like UNC Wilmington. Kentucky with North Carolina coming up on a neutral. They have the Louisville battle, which of course is legendary. They're going to roll them. I think it's a sleepy spot. You know this one was coming. I put confidence level 9. You're probably laughing that I didn't put confidence level 10. We are fading Johnny Dawkins, and boy, that has been profitable for us here. Now you're going to give us, of course, in the friendly confines of Orlando, good seats still available, against a Lipscomb team from Tennessee that likes to shoot the three. This is a Lipscomb team that has actually won They've won, 6 of their last 7 games. They beat Wofford on a neutral. They beat a good Chattanooga team by 14 at home. They beat Asheville on a neutral, who you know is tough with Drew Pember inside. They beat them by 11. They can score. They can shoot it. They can get up and down the floor. Be on the lookout, Johnny Dawkins. You could be in trouble here. 10 points to Lipscomb. No way. Dawkins gagged it against Stetson. Wasn't surprised there. That was a nice win for us. We're going back to it here. Folks, I'm a BC grad. I love my Eagles. I had a great time at Boston College, but I tell you this over and over again, the home court advantage does not exist, and it is certainly not going to exist on a Saturday in December against North Carolina State. I do not know why Boston College is favored in this game. Eagles, I get it. Quentin Post, impressive, but this is the same BC team that's inconsistent. It's a BC team under Earl Grant that's going to play a slower game, so points at a premium. They're not shooting well from 3. They don't force turnovers. They're not great at rebounding. They had a nice win over Vanderbilt. Who doesn't beat Vanderbilt nowadays? They lost to Loyola Chicago. They lost at a neutral to Colorado State. They were losing to Harvard on a back-to-back, and they came back to win. No way. NC State with a loss to BYU on a neutral. NC State with a tough game at Mississippi. NC State is a better team. I'm taking NC State in this matchup. I just would like to know how on earth Boston College is going to stop Casey Morsell. I'd like to know that. Please tell me if you have an answer. We got burned with Charleston against Liberty. The problem with Liberty that I learned is they are of the ilk of the pass and stare. All these teams like St. Mary's, who's catastrophic this year, and those teams, when you have a team like Liberty that's going to pass and stare, they cannot create off the dribble. Florida Atlantic can create off the dribble. Charleston is not a good three-point shooting team. So now if we got burned on the back-to-back with Liberty, we're going to go the other way with Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic is home here. This is not a neutral court game. Charleston had a big battle against Liberty. Now they're playing a Florida Atlantic team that got to rest, and Florida Atlantic is going to take it and push the pace. If you want to go over on this game, that's fine with me as well. I am taking them there. I believe in UMass Low, and I believe in their defense. They are playing Merrimack. UMass Low struggled in their last matchup, and we got that with Stonehill. UMass Low is too good a team to struggle 2 days in a row. They went away to St. Peter's and won and covered that game. They should be undefeated. They should have beat Arizona State. They gave it away late. They are aggressive. They are great on defense. They are going to put a strong defensive effort out. I will be shocked if Merrimack wins this game. The spread is 7. The reason I have a confidence level of 7 is because you never know if they win by 5 or they win by 4. I mean, we covered St. John's last night against West Virginia by a half point. So sometimes that spread can be a problem. I think UMass Lowell wins, and I think they cover. I do not think you get 2 sleepy spots. They gave up 74 points to Stonehill. That is not happening today. They're going to be ready on lockdown. This one is only a confidence level 6 because it's a rivalry game. Rhode Island at Providence. You know, Providence has been pretty good, but you're going to give me a Rhode Island team in this matchup. And these games are usually close between Rhode Island and between Providence. Archie Miller still does a solid job. They're great on the offensive boards. They're going to muck it up. They're going to be aggressive. Providence can get a little shaky. They're only shooting 68% from the free throw line. It's just too many points in a game that I'm just concerned about. They're going to Oklahoma, Providence, so this could be a look-ahead spot. You had Rhode Island coming off the big home win over Yale. They're playing better. They did play at Northwestern, which is tough. They traveled out of neutral, rather. They played Washington State, so they played some tough teams. I just think it's too many points. Not one of my top plays, but I think it's too many points. Here's another rivalry, one that's under the radar because a lot of people don't know where these schools are. Tulsa, from Tulsa, Oklahoma, going on the road against Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts also in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So this is a pretty big rivalry for an Oral Roberts team that has been carried over the last few years by players like Max A. Smith, etc. So I like this Tulsa team. They're playing great defense under Eric Conkle. Eric Conkle came over from Louisiana Tech. He struggled last year. They were 5-25 Tulsa, but they're off to a really good start. Tulsa is looking like Tulsa again. And now they're getting 4.5 points playing at Oral Roberts. The only game on the horizon is Loyola Chicago. There's no look ahead. Oral Roberts coming off a tough, gritty loss to Kansas State. This is a little bit of a sleepy spot. Rivalry game here. Not a conference game, of course. I'm taking Tulsa plus 4.5. We only got a few games left here. New Mexico could blow them out by 20. I'll take the 17.5 because I've liked the way New Mexico State, even though their season ended terribly last year, I've liked the way they played as an aggressive team. I'll take New Mexico State plus 17.5. Not one of my top plays, only confidence level 7. But New Mexico can get sloppy a little bit, and this game could actually end up being close. I will take them as well. This one is confidence level 8, and it could go to 9. We almost had a Central Arkansas outright win against Stan Johnson and Loyola Marymount. The only reason we did not is because Loyola Marymount does have these moments where they actually go bonkers from 3. They shot 13 of 26. That's 50% from three-point range. Folks, they are not doing that at Nevada. That is not happening. I am still not impressed with this Loyola Marymount team. I don't believe in Stan Johnson. They are 5-0 Nevada under Steve Alford. Don't turn the ball over. Great on the defensive boards. Great at defending the three-pointer. They are top 50 in the country, holding opponents to just 28%. Loyola Marymount is 30th in the country at percentage of points generated from beyond the arc. 38% of their points. They have to shoot the 3 well. Why are they playing well? They played FIU away and barely won by 1. They didn't cover. They played UTEP at home, shot the lights out from 3. They played Central Arkansas. They were losing that game in the second half with about 10 minutes left. Then they shot the lights out. Not happening against Nevada like them here. And the last game on the slate, folks, thank you for hanging with me. For 46 games, we got through it. USC plus 3.5 against Gonzaga. Look, the Zags are going to struggle without Steve Ventnor's. Mark Few is a legend. He's one of the best coaches in college basketball. This game is at Las Vegas, so it's on a neutral. They're good at defense, but they're going to struggle on offense, and Gonzaga has not been making their free throws here. I just don't know why Gonzaga is favored. This is a good USC team that battled tough against Oklahoma, who's very, very good. They shoot well from beyond the arc. They have size inside. I just don't like the 3.5. If this game was at Gonzaga, you could convince it to me, but Gonzaga is going to struggle here. They need a big game from EK, who's going to be neutralized a little bit by the interior defense of USC and Nemhart. So I'm going with USC plus 3.5 here, folks. Okay, we got a few minutes left. Let's get to these comments. Yeah, it's a great game by Kansas, and they covered Purdue. Been doing Purdue stuff. Listen, the Purdue guards are not good. I feel bad because Matt Painter has had so much sustained success at Purdue, but he has this rep if he can't win the big one. He may have been a national champion if Virginia doesn't have that miracle comeback against them a few years ago, where they just went absolutely bonkers at the end of the game. So really, Carson Edwards was fantastic in that game, but I like him a lot. Let's see. Yeah, UNC does a little. I think it is. I do. They don't give the ball away. I mean, it's Kentucky. And the thing about Kentucky that's really dangerous here, Trevor, is that Kentucky is shooting the three well earlier in the season. Normally, Kentucky can't shoot the three. That's why they stumble in non-conference. They haven't stumbled a lot. They've played really, really well. This is a dangerous Kentucky team. I just like UNC Wilmington. It could be take lock. I'm telling you that right now. Trevor talks about Lehi Pepe. Yeah, Lehi Pepe. Enough with Lehi Pepe. I love Lehi Pepe. He's a winner for Loyola Marymount, but I don't think he's making a difference on the road here. All right, folks, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate it. Big slate. Bets will go in the bet tracker. Great night last night. Let's keep the momentum going here. Up, down, up, down. Got to find out about that Harvard line. If anybody's injured, please hit me up on X at Randle Rand. Folks, as always, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. We will have 3 shows next week. We're just finalizing the days. I'll make sure to put it on Twitter to make sure that you have it. As always, thank you. Good luck. And let's get to the window on a great Saturday college basketball slate.